Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's masterclass. Apologies if you can hear my newborn. He's in his bouncer at the moment. He's been fighting his sleep. It's the heat, so I do apologize for that. I'm just going to test to make sure that I can share my screen and that you can see it, because that will be useful for you in terms of looking at the slides. So let me share this with you all, and we're just going to get started in just a moment. Just make sure that you're in the right place. So today we're going to go through how to write a grade 9 essay. So discover how to write a grade 9 essay. And I'm going to share with you one of the most important things that's not taught in schools, okay? And if you're following and looking, you'll know that I'm referring to thesis statement. So hopefully you can all see the screen. If you can use the chat box and let me know. Let me know. I'm getting a thumbs up from my husband, who's paying attention. He says that you can. Fantastic. So let's have a look at this. So what you'll gain by the end of the session. So you're going to know what a thesis statement is, understand why a thesis statement is important. You're going to understand how to formulate a thesis statement and understand how a thesis statement helps you to write a grade 9 essays. And I want to make this clear. This is not just important for English. It's important for any essay-based subject. So religious education, history, geography, and even subjects like science, because in science, particularly at GCSE, you have to write longer answers, and it's really important that you're able to formulate an answer that is clearly structured so that your examiners can follow your train of thinking. So what is a thesis statement? If you've got any ideas, you can pop them in the chat box there. But a thesis statement tells the reader how you will interpret the significance of the subject matter under discussion. So for English, what this means is it is the way in which you interpret the question, whether it's for language or literature. And it's a roadmap for the paper. In other words, it tells the reader what to expect from the rest of the paper. So it should highlight what your overall argument is going to be, so there's no surprises. And it should directly answer the question. So a thesis statement is your interpretation of the question. So, for example, the topic could be an essay on World War II or Moby Dick, and a thesis must then offer a way to understand that war or that novel. It makes the claims that others might dispute. Now, this is where a lot of students find it tricky to understand. They think that, well, a thesis statement needs to be factual, but the thing about English is subjective, okay? As long as you can prove your point and it's rooted in, for example, the text that you've read and you've used your own knowledge and it's relevant, then you can come up with an answer. And I'm going to explain why this is more important when we look at the mark scheme in just a moment. Okay. Now, a thesis statement should be one sentence long, and it should be present in your introduction. Okay. If you've got any questions, do let me know as well, please. So, why is a thesis statement important then? Well, a thesis statement is important because if we have a look here at the mark schemes, so I'm not going to look at all of this. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read it yourself. But it's really important because part of what the examiners are looking for is for you to be able to develop your knowledge and skills in reading and being able to write and think critically. And if you look here, it says that you should be able to read in depth, critically, and evaluatively, develop, so appreciate the depth and power of the English literary heritage, and that you should also be able to write and an answer that involves you thinking outside of what your teachers are telling you. Okay, so it's your personal response, it's your interpretation. So being able to criticize and analyze what you have read. Okay, and that's why a thesis statement is really important. And again, this is also true for language as well, and I'll show you there too. If you look at the mark scheme here, and this is like assessment objectives, and this is taken generally from all the major examples, so WJC, EDUCAS, AQA, EdExcel, OCR, and IGCSE as well. You can see here, if you look at the mark scheme, the assessment objectives, it's being able to analyze and the language and understand and explain the writer's meaning. And the thesis statement allows you, therefore, to interpret that work, okay? And you need to be able to maintain a critical style and develop an informed personal response. And that's the key here, being able to write an informed personal response. The teachers will be able to tell you generally how to analyze, and for literature in particular, they'll be able to, give you the main arguments or the main points or the main interpretations. But in order to achieve a grade 9, you need to be able to think about it personally, and a thesis statement allows you to do that. And I'm going to share with you and show you how to do that in just a moment, okay? But again, and just to prove that it's also for language as well as for literature, Again, being able to read critically and knowledge gained from wider reading to inform and improve your own writing, and being able to use a wide variety of vocabulary to explain and evaluate the text. And for English language, a lot of students struggle with this. And the reason for that is because it's unseen. And as a result of that, a lot of students end up writing quite formulaically. You might have seen like Peter paragraphs, pill, point, evidence, analyze, link, or point, evidence, technique, analyze, link. And the problem with this is because it's so formulaic, it actually encourages your child to miss the higher points, which is to be able to critically and personally engage with the text. But a thesis statement allows you to avoid that. And it's really simple once you know how to do it. Okay, and again, just to prove that point here, here's a mark scheme taking from AQA, but just to be able to see is your ability to be able to pull that all together. Okay, now then, so a thesis statement then, so why is it important then? So in a nutshell then, a thesis statement is important because it helps your examiner know what stance you are taking, your argument. It helps your examiner know that you are answering the question, because your thesis statement should contain the keywords from the question and it should take a stance. It helps you, the writer, plan your essay to know what points to include in your main body and what quotation facts to use to prove your point. So this is really important. A thesis statement is not only useful for your examiner, it's useful for you as the writer. If you are somebody who waffles on, or if you're somebody who goes off tangent, or if you are somebody who finds it hard to know what quotations to use, then again, you might hear my toddler in the background. He's having a great time. And that's really important because by having a thesis statement, it clearly outlines to you your main argument. And if it's a strong thesis statement, it should guide you to know what points, in your main body that you're going to use, and therefore what quotations are going to best support that. And I'm going to give you an example to show this to you. Okay. So you can see here, I've got this example, love is a fruit. So when you're coming up with a thesis statement, okay, and actually before I go through that, I want to share with you the TAP method quickly. And you may have seen this, you might have downloaded the free guide. Hang on, let me just share and reshare this because it's a different document, so bear with me there. There it is. So let me share this. Hopefully you can see this. So TAP method, take a position, make a clear argument, add your reasons, include two to three specific points, and then preview the plan, show how this guides the essay. And P's also stands for put it all into one sentence. So TAP can be that, or TAP can be this. Let me show you here. So state your argument. That's your main position. Don't describe, argue. Example, Macbeth's ambition ultimately destroys him. Then you might want to think 2 to 3 of specific reasons why your position is correct. And then finally, pack it all into one sentence. A strong thesis statement is only one sentence long. Okay. And then we just reshare my slides. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat box and let me know if you've got any questions, thoughts and feelings about this. Okay, so we've got to think about so when you're coming up with a thesis statement then, so we've got this, love is a fruit. So the first thing you want to do is you want to think about what you know about fruit. You want to think about denotation, which is a dictionary definition of the word. And then you want to think about connotations. So what are your thoughts about this? What are your feelings about this? Now that's really important because for most of us, no matter where we are, we might have similar, thought patterns about a particular, about a particular word, in this case, fruit. But actually as well, you might have a different take on it based on your culture, your religion, your beliefs, your attitude, and your own experiences. So that immediately helps you to tap into this critical personal response. And then you want to think about any symbolism associated. And you might struggle with that, but you want to think about, how have I seen this used in any other works of art, literature, films, TV shows, okay? And how is it presented in the text you're about to read? So now then, if we have now a look at this question here then, okay? Love is a fruit. So we've got this question, how does the writer express their attitude towards love? And we've got two thesis statements here. We've got here, the writer expresses their positive attitude towards love through the metaphor, love is a fruit. And then we've got a second metaphor, through the metaphor, love is a fruit. The writer presents love as something natural and nourishing, while also suggesting that, like fruit, it can be sweet or bitter, plentiful or scarce, and shaped by the cycles of human experience. So which of these thesis statements is better, and more importantly, why? Number 1 or number 2? And you can pop your answers in the chat box as well there. You can put your answer. And it's really important that you have a go. The reason being is as a learner, you want to think about, well, what is it that you know and what is it that you don't know? So it's always important to guess, even if you get it wrong, because actually making a mistake is important because it shows that you're learning. And if you get it right, great. But then do you fully understand why you've got it right too? So which one do you think is better, 1 or 2? Okay, so you can put it in the chat box, so you can make a note of it. So number 2 is better, and I'm going to explain why now. Okay, number 2 is better because it allows you more scope to dig deeper and to have a more in-depth explanation, and it allows you therefore to interpret it more meaningfully and to therefore engage with it critically and personally. The first one is a great thesis statement. It's not bad, it's good. The second one is a grade 9 standard. The first one is good, but it's limiting, okay? And I'm going to show you why it's limiting now. Oh, bless you, baby. Sorry, my little one, he's 2 months old. He's just sneezing. He's finding it hard in the heat. So here is the first thesis statement. So we've got, here the writer expresses their positive attitude towards love through the metaphor love is a fruit. By comparing the abstract noun love to the concrete noun fruit, the writer hints at their belief that love is beneficial to people. This can be inferred as fruit connotes health and sweetness. Moreover, the fact that fruit is vibrant and comes in different shapes and sizes suggests that the writer feels that love is something that everyone can enjoy. It is a universal experience. This interpretation is furthered by the fact that the writer deliberately uses the general noun fruit rather than a specific type. So again, you can see that this is a good thesis statement, okay? It allows you to analyze, but it's actually limiting, and I'm going to prove and show how, okay? So again, if we use the second thesis statement, and I'm not going to, you can have that first point as well, okay? So through the metaphor, oh, hang on, let me just show you this. I'll go back. Oh yeah, no, sorry. Here is correct. So you can still have that main point there about comparing abstract and love. You know, that's a strong paragraph, but actually it doesn't allow you wider scope to go deeper. And this, by using the second thesis statement, which is stronger, it allows you to do so. So look, through the metaphor, love is a fruit, the writer presents love as something natural and nourishing, while also suggesting that, like fruit, it can be sweet or bitter, plentiful or scarce, and shaped by the cycles of human experience. Now, remember, we've already imagined that we've already got this by comparing the abstract noun. So we're going to keep that one there. And then we can move on to the next paragraph, which you couldn't with the first one because it's limiting. So you could say, by comparing the abstract noun love to the concrete noun fruit, the writer hints at their belief that love is beneficial to people. So we've got that one, yeah? This can be referred as fruit connotes health and sweetness. Moreover, the fact fruit is vibrant and comes in different shapes and sizes suggests that the writer feels that love is something that everyone can enjoy. It's a universal experience, okay? So we've kept that. And then we can move on to the next paragraph then. We can now add this. Having said that, there is an indication that the writer believes that love does not last, since fruit can rot, therefore suggesting that love is not always a positive experience. This comparison also hints at the idea that love requires care and attention to flourish, much like fruit needs the right conditions to grow and remain fresh. Without this, it may decay, leaving behind disappointment or regret. Furthermore, the writer's choice of the general noun fruit rather than a specific variety suggests a deliberate ambiguity about love's nature. Just as fruit encompasses everything from delicate berries to hardy apples, love might take many forms, some fragile and fleeting, others more enduring. This universality implies that whilst love is a common human experience, it manifests differently for each person. So can you see how much more in depth we're able to do that? And we're able to do that without contradicting ourselves. So we're able to look at another interpretation and not contradict ourselves. And that is the power of a thesis statement. Okay, and it's important for anything. So here's a comparison for unseen poetry. So compare Snell by Tom Gunn and Gull by Edward Morgan. We've got, whilst both considering the snail and a gull explore human-animal encounters, Gunn celebrates the snail's quiet determination as a model of purposeful existence, whereas Morgan presents the gull as an unsettling reminder of nature's indifferent power, revealing contrasting attitudes towards humanity's relationship with the natural world. And this is a strong thesis statement because it establishes the comparison, it highlights the key contrast, it identifies the key specific focus, suggests deeper meaning, and sets up an argument structure. Okay? Does that all make sense? So this is the power of the thesis statement. I'm hoping you're starting to see how a thesis statement is so important, and you can use this for anything, for your language and for your literature. Okay. So, and it's important for other subjects as well. It works for other subjects. That is the power of a thesis statement. So again, if we look at this is a question from, I put question twice there. This is from history. So how far do you agree with interpretation 2 about the experiences of young people living in Nazi Germany? So original thesis, the main reason for Norman victory in the Battle of Hastings was the effectiveness of their tactics, which played a crucial role in overcoming the Anglo-Saxon forces. So you can see it's not a bad thesis statement, but it's not a powerful one. This is more powerful. This is stronger. So whilst Norman tactics, particularly the feigned retreat, were undoubtedly significant in securing victory over Hastings, whilst Norman tactics, particularly the feigned retreat, were undoubtedly significant in securing victory at Hastings, the Norman triumph resulted from a combination of tactical superiority, strategic luck, and Harold's weakened position, with tactics serving as the decisive factor that capitalized on these advantageous circumstances. Why is that a stronger thesis statement? Because it allows for greater scope. It allows you to look at more angles. It allows you to therefore to interpret it in a deeper level. Okay, and this is true for geography, history, business studies, religious education. So it's really important that you perfect a thesis statement. Now, I hope now from this masterclass that you've got an understanding of the importance of a thesis statement, how to generate it. But if you'd like more guidance on this, I'm going to share with you now some of our programs that we're running over the summer. So we've got some options for you. So you can enroll onto our creative writing or essay writing program, and you can either do that separately, which is £49.97, or you can do it as a bundle, which is £79.97 or £31.95. Or for the singular options, it's self-study £19.97. And I'll talk you through the differences. So you've got on-demand with feedback. So the on-demand session, so each of these, so creative writing and essay writing, are going to be 12 modules, spread out over 6 weeks, starting from the 21st of July. The on-demand one has got limited spaces, and I'll explain why in just a moment. So self-study means you go through the modules, and you also get a workbook, a digital one, to help you to revise and to go through the material. And you work through the 12 modules. For the on-demand one, the reason why there's limited spaces is because you can go through the same 12 modules, and you also get a student workbook, but you also get accountability and feedback. So I will personally go through your answers and give you feedback, and I'll give 2 forms of feedback. One is email, so written, and the other is recorded. So I'll do a recording breaking down your answers so you know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and I'll give guidance to you to know what to improve upon. And I'll just share with you now very briefly what that looks like here. So let's see, so this is the essay writing summer self-study course. So if you want to go for self-study and you want to do it singular, essay writing or creative writing is £19.97. Or you can do the on-demand one for essay writing or creative writing, which is £49.97, or you can take the bundle, and that's a bit cheaper here. But this is how it is. So it's going to give you 12 modules with video lessons covering the essay techniques. So it says 6 engaging video lessons covering key aspects, but it's broken down into 12 modules. Okay, so it's spanning over 6 weeks, and it's broken down, and it'll help you to go through it. And it's really important for students who are more independent, and it gives greater flexibility, particularly over the summer, which is important. Or, as I said, you can go for the on-demand one. And if we look here, where's the on-demand one? Which gives you, here we go, which gives you feedback as well, okay? So it gives you feedback, so it's from the 21st of July to the 29th. And it's perfect for you if you're going into year 10 or 11, but also if you're going to year 9. And it gives you personalized feedback from me, and it also allows you to help you answer language papers and also literature questions as well, okay? So I'll put these in the description so that if you want to sign up and enroll, you can. But equally, if you've got any questions, you can feel free to reach out and let me know. I'll be glad to answer any. But otherwise, fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments your best, your takeaways. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and where I'll be giving more free tips and guidance and resources. Otherwise, I hope that you're able to, stay cool, enjoy your weekend, and I look forward to, hearing from some of you soon. Bye for now.